Men always think they're making the right choice when they walk away until time and distance prove them wrong. At first they feel fine, convinced they'll move on without a second thought. But as the silence grows, so does the realization of what they lost. That's when they start looking back, wondering if leaving was a mistake. And when that moment hits, they come back not just because they miss you, but because they finally see your value. The question is, will you still be there? Ladies and gentlemen, when a man experiences no contact, something interesting starts to happen in his mind. At first, he might feel relieved, thinking that stepping away was the right choice. Maybe he convinced himself that he needed space, that he was better off without the relationship, or that he could easily move forward. But as the silence stretches on, a different reality starts to set in. He begins to notice something he didn't anticipate: the absence. And that absence is louder than he expected. See, men often take presence for granted when it's consistent. When you were around, he never had to question it. Your support, your energy, the way you made his life easier, it was all just there, effortlessly. But when it's gone, when the usual texts don't come through, when he doesn't hear your voice, when he realizes that your attention isn't focused on him anymore, something shifts. He starts to feel that space. And that space makes him uncomfortable. He may not even fully understand why at first, but he begins to sense it. The small things that once felt routine now stand out. The way you checked in on him, the way you laughed at his jokes, the way you understood him in a way that others didn't start, all of it starts playing back in his mind. The power of no contact isn't just about making a man miss you. It's about allowing him to sit with his own thoughts without distraction. See, when a breakup happens or when a man pulls away, he usually fills that void with distractions. Maybe he goes out more, maybe he works harder, maybe he convinces himself that he's moving on by focusing on everything but you. But distractions don't last forever. Eventually, the moments of silence creep in, and in those moments, his mind starts to wander back. He thinks about what it was like to have you in his life. He remembers the way you made him feel. And that's the key. It's not just about missing you as a person. It's about missing the emotional experience you brought. Because when a man truly connects with a woman, it's not just about physical attraction or compatibility. It's about how she made him feel about himself. And when that feeling is no longer there, he starts to notice its absence in a way that can't be ignored. Now, this doesn't happen overnight. At first, his pride might tell him he's fine. He might even convince himself that you were the one who needed him more. But as time goes on, as the silence remains unbroken, that confidence starts to waver. He starts to question things. He wonders if you've moved on, if you even care anymore, if you ever really needed him in the first place. And that's where the shift happens. Because when a man starts questioning his own importance in your life, he starts to feel something deeper. It's not just about missing your presence, it's about missing the role he played in your world. And when you don't reach out, when you don't chase him, when you continue living your life without looking back, it sends a message that's louder than any words ever could. It tells him that you were never dependent on him, that your life moves forward with or without him. And that realization is powerful. He might start checking his phone, wondering if you'll text. He might see something that reminds him of you and feel the pull to reconnect. He might even test the waters with a simple message just to see if you'll respond. And that moment right there, that's when you know the power of no contact is working. Because now it's not about you chasing him. It's about him realizing that he doesn't want to be left behind. This is where most people get it wrong. They think no contact is just a game, a manipulation tactic to make someone miss them. But it's not about that. It's about giving space for real reflection. Because if a man truly values you, if he truly felt something deep, that space will make him see it clearly. If he doesn't come back, then you have your answer. He wasn't willing to fight for it. But if he does, it's not because he was tricked into missing you. It's because he realized on his own that life without you wasn't as fulfilling as he thought it would be. This is why walking away with confidence is so important. Because a man needs to feel what it's like to lose you without you constantly reminding him of what he had. He needs to sit with that emptiness, to process it, to understand it. And only then, when he truly sees what he let go of, does he come back with a different mindset. Not because he was forced to, not because he was guilted into it, because he genuinely wants to be there. And when that happens, when he returns not out of loneliness, but out of true appreciation, that's when you know you hold the power. Men often return after no contact because their ego gets involved in ways they don't even realize. At first, they may feel completely fine with the distance. They tell themselves they made the right decision, that life is moving forward, that nothing has really changed. But what they don't expect is the shift that happens when you don't react the way they assumed you would. See, most men believe they have you figured out. They think they know exactly how you'll respond, how much you care, and what you're willing to tolerate. And when you go silent, when you don't chase, when you don't give them the validation they assumed was guaranteed, it shakes them. This is where their ego starts to get involved, because for a man, part of his identity in a relationship, whether he admits it or not, is tied to how much value he believes he holds in your life. He assumes that if he meant something to you, you'll show it. You'll reach out, you'll try to fix things, you'll try to keep him close. And when you don't, when you completely remove yourself from the equation, it forces him into an unfamiliar place. Suddenly, the certainty starts to fade. He begins to wonder if he overestimated his importance, if you cared as much as he thought, if maybe he was the one who needed you more than you needed him. This is where the real battle happens, not between you and him, but between him and his own thoughts. Because the longer you stay silent, the more those thoughts grow. He starts checking his phone, wondering if you've texted. He scrolls through social media, looking for clues, trying to see if you've moved on, if you even seem affected. And when he sees you carrying on with your life, when he realizes that your world didn't stop spinning just because he walked away, it creates a reaction inside him that he didn't anticipate. For a man, knowing he had an impact on a woman gives him a sense of control. It reassures him. But when that reassurance is taken away, when he no longer knows where he stands, it makes him uncomfortable. He starts to wonder if he miscalculated, if he made a mistake. And that's when the desire to return starts creeping in, not necessarily because he misses you at first, but because he misses the certainty of knowing you were still there. This is why no contact is so powerful. It forces a man to confront the reality of what life is like without you. And if he thought he could walk away without consequences, without feeling your absence, without questioning his decision, then your silence makes him realize how wrong he was. Because now he's the one who's uncertain. He's the one who's wondering. And the more he wonders, the more his ego takes a hit. At first, he might try to fight it. He might distract himself, convincing himself that reaching out would make him look weak. But as time goes on, the need for clarity becomes stronger than his pride. He needs to know where you stand, if you still care, if there's still a place for him in your life. And that's when he starts testing the waters. Maybe it's a random message, something casual, something that doesn't make it obvious that he's been thinking about you. Maybe it's an excuse asking about something he left behind, bringing up an inside joke, pretending like he just happened to remember something about you. But make no mistake, none of it is accidental. It's his way of checking if he still has access to you. If he still holds space in your mind the way you held space in his. And this is the moment where your response determines everything. Because if you rush back, if you immediately give him the validation he's seeking, he gets exactly what he wanted. He gets to feel important again. He gets to believe that he never truly lost you. And the moment he feels that certainty return, his urgency to be with you starts to fade. Not because he doesn't care, but because he no longer feels like he has something to lose. But if you stay in your power, if you maintain your silence, if you let him be the one who fights for your attention the way you once fought for his, then everything shifts. Because now it's no longer just about his ego, it's about whether he's willing to put in the effort to earn his place back in your life. It's about whether he values what he had enough to work for it. And that's when you see the truth. Not in his words, not in the small attempts to check in, but in his actions. Because a man who truly wants you won't just look for reassurance, he'll look for ways to show you he's serious. He won't just test the waters, he'll jump all the way in. And that's when you know. Not by how much he misses you, but by how much he's willing to prove that losing you wasn't an option he was willing to accept. When you pull away and go silent, something powerful happens that most people don't realize. It's not just about a man missing you. And it's not just about him feeling lonely. It's about how the entire power dynamic shifts in a way that forces him to see you differently. Before, he may have seen you as predictable. He may have felt secure knowing that you were always there, always available, always willing to put in the effort to keep things going. Because of that, he never truly had to question your value. He never had to wonder what life without you would feel like because you never gave him the chance to experience it. But when you step back, when you remove yourself without warning, without explanation, without trying to convince him to stay, that predictability disappears. And suddenly, you're not the same person in his eyes. See, when a man knows he has access to you, he doesn't have to work for it. He doesn't have to think about what he's doing to keep you interested because in his mind, you're already there. But when that access is removed, when you stop reaching out, when you stop giving him the attention he assumed was guaranteed, his perception of you starts to change. He starts to see you as someone who isn't just waiting around, someone who isn't begging for his time, someone who has her own life, her own standards, her own ability to walk away when something isn't serving her. And that shift is what makes a man start to chase. Because now you're no longer predictable. Now you're a mystery. And mystery is powerful. A man is drawn to what he can't fully understand, to what he can't fully control. It's human nature. The moment something feels too easy, too available, too certain, it loses its excitement. But the moment something becomes uncertain, the moment it becomes slightly out of reach, that's when the desire kicks in. That's when he starts to wonder. He starts to think about you in ways he never did before. He starts to analyze things he once overlooked. The way you carried yourself, the way you spoke, the way you made him feel. And the more he thinks, the more he starts to realize something he never really took the time to appreciate what he had. This is why walking away, going silent, and staying in your power is so important. Because when you do that, you're not just showing him that you can live without him, you're forcing him to see you in a way he never has before. You're making him rethink the image he had of you in his mind. And when that image starts to change, when he starts to view you differently, that's when the attraction reignites. That's when he starts to feel something deeper than just missing your presence. He starts to feel the weight of what he might have lost. And it's not just about missing the good moments. It's about the realization that you were never someone he could take for granted. That you were never just going to be there waiting, hoping, chasing. That you had options, that you had standards, that you had the ability to walk away and mean it. And that realization stings. Because now he's faced with a choice. He can either accept that he lost you or he can start putting in the effort to get you back. But here's the key when a man comes back. It's not enough that he just misses you. It's not enough that he just wants to talk again. What matters is whether he's willing to change the way he treats you. Whether he's willing to put in the work, to meet your standards, to prove that he values what he almost let go. Because missing you is easy. Feeling nostalgic is easy. But changing behavior, that's what separates a man who truly wants you from a man who just wants the comfort of having you around. This is why you can't break NoContact just because he reaches out. Just because he sends a text, just because he suddenly wants to talk, doesn't mean he's ready to give you what you deserve. A man can miss you and still not be willing to step up. He can want you back without actually changing. And if you let him in too soon, if you give him that validation without making him prove that he deserves it, then nothing actually shifts. He just falls back into the same mindset, the same pattern, the same dynamic where he knows you'll always be there no matter what. And the cycle repeats. But when you stay in your power, when you make him work for it, when you don't immediately respond to his attempts to check in, that's when the real test begins. Because a man who truly values you won't just try once. He won't just send a half-hearted text and hope that's enough. He'll be consistent. He'll show effort. He'll prove that he sees you differently now, that he understands what he almost lost, that he's willing to do more than just miss you, he's willing to earn you. And that's the moment where you get to decide. Not based on emotion, not based on the fact that you miss him too, but based on whether his actions show that he's actually changed, whether he's ready to step up in a way he never did before. And if he's not, if he's just coming back because his ego needs validation, because he misses the comfort of having you around, but he's not actually willing to put in the work, then you keep walking, you don't settle, You don't lower your standards just because he finally realized your value. Because the truth is, a man will always return when he feels like he's losing something he didn't appreciate the first time. But whether he deserves another chance, that's entirely up to you. When a man leaves, he often thinks he's making the right decision. Maybe he believes the relationship isn't what he wants. Or maybe he convinces himself that he needs space, freedom, or something different. In the moment, he might feel confident about it. He tells himself he's moving forward, that life will be easier, that there's nothing to regret. But the thing about time, about distance, is that it doesn't just allow you to move on, it forces you to reflect. And when a man has space, when he's no longer surrounded by the comfort of what was, something happens that he never expected. He starts to realize that what he left behind wasn't as replaceable as he thought. At first, he doesn't feel it. He's distracted, busy convincing himself that he's fine. He fills his time with other things, work, friends, maybe even other women. He does everything he can to avoid sitting in silence because silence brings thoughts he isn't ready to face. But eventually, no matter how much he tries to ignore it, that silence comes. He's lying in bed at night, scrolling through his phone, and suddenly there's no message from you. There's no check-in, no small reminder that you're thinking about him, and that moment hits differently. Because now he has to ask himself something he never had to before. Do I really feel better without her? That question lingers. At first, he brushes it off. He tells himself it's just a passing thought. But as the days go on, as weeks turn into months, it doesn't go away. Instead, it grows. He starts remembering things he never appreciated before. The way you supported him, the way you made him laugh, the way you understood him in ways no one else did. And that's when the reality of what he's lost starts to settle in. Because the things he overlooked, the things he thought didn't matter, are the very things he now realizes he took for granted. See, most men don't fully grasp the depth of a good woman's presence until she's no longer there. They think they'll be fine, that they'll move on quickly, that someone else will come along and replace what they had. But the truth is, not every connection can be replicated. Some women leave a mark that time and distance can't erase. And when a man starts to see that, when he realizes that what he lost isn't something he can easily find again, that's when the regret kicks in. He starts looking for signs of you. He checks your social media, hoping to see something, anything that gives him a glimpse into your life. But the problem is, when you've truly moved on, when you've taken that time apart to grow, to heal, to become even stronger than before, he sees something that shakes him. You're doing just fine without him. And that realization stings because now he has to confront the fact that while he was figuring things out, you weren't waiting. You were thriving. This is why NoContact is so powerful, because it's not just about making a man miss you, it's about giving him the space to realize your value on his own. If you had stayed, if you had begged, if you had tried to convince him of what he was losing, it wouldn't have mattered. He wouldn't have seen it. Because a man doesn't learn through words, he learns through experience. He learns by feeling the void, by seeing what life is like without you, by understanding that what he had with you wasn't something he could just find anywhere. And that's when he comes back. Not because he's lonely, not because he's bored, but because he finally understands. He finally sees what he walked away from. But here's the thing, you have to ask yourself if that's enough. Because just because a man realizes your worth doesn't mean he's ready to give you what you deserve. Just because he misses you doesn't mean he's willing to change. And this is where so many people get it wrong. They take a man's return as proof that he's serious, that he's suddenly ready to be different. But the real test isn't in his regret, it's in his actions. When he reaches out, what is he saying? Is he just testing the waters, trying to see if he'll still respond? Or is he showing genuine effort? Is he trying to slide back into your life the way he always did, expecting things to pick up where they left off? Or is he actually proving through consistent action that he understands what he lost and is willing to work for it? Because a man who truly values you won't just tell you, he'll show you. He won't just say he misses you, he'll step up in a way he never did before. And if he's not doing that, if he's just hoping for easy access to what he lost, then you already have your answer. This is why you can't break NoContact too soon. Because the moment you do, the moment you give him that validation, the moment you reassure him that you're still there, he doesn't have to fight for you anymore. He doesn't have to change. He just gets to fall back into old patterns, knowing that no matter what, he still has a hold on you. But when you stand firm, when you make him prove himself, when you don't settle for anything less than what you deserve, you shift the dynamic completely. He no longer sees you as someone he can take for granted. He no longer assumes you'll always be there, waiting, hoping, willing to accept whatever he's willing to give. Instead, he sees you as someone who demands more, someone who has standards, someone who isn't afraid to walk away when something isn't serving her. And that kind of woman, that's the kind of woman who commands respect. That's the kind of woman who changes the way a man sees relationships forever. Because the truth is, a man doesn't just return because he misses you. He returns because he realizes that what he had with you is rare, that what he had with you isn't something he can replace. And if he's truly serious, if he's truly ready, he'll prove it. He'll step up. He'll make the effort. But if he's just looking for comfort, for reassurance, for an easy way back in, then you owe it to yourself to keep moving forward. Because a man who truly understands your worth won't just want you back, he'll do whatever it takes to make sure he never loses you again.